Hello guys and welcome back to Ollie's on the Ball. This is my round 9 tips video. So sorry didn't have a tips video last week, ran out of time to get one out, but I still did have a community post with all my tips and Ollie's calls for the week. So officially third of the way through the season, which has gone really quickly, and I'm sure this middle part will go just as quick, and before you know it we'll be towards the end of the season. But last week, interesting round, a few smashings, a few really close games, a few average games, and yeah, so last week 5 out of 9 tips and 1 out of 9 Ollie's calls. So last week, as I said, 5 out of 9 tips, not the best round. So first match we had Essendon, North Melbourne. Pretty close game. I said Essendon would get up by 15. Essendon won by 3. Saints Freo went with the upset. Tipped the Saints. We got up over a very lacklustre Freo side. Then Bulldogs smashed Port Adelaide, tipped Carlton. They got smashed against Adelaide. Don't know why I tipped Carlton. Melbourne got up against West Coast. And then Collingwood Geelong. Jack Crisp missed after the siren with Geelong winning. They tipped GWS and Sydney won in probably an upset in the Battle of the Bridge. And then Hawthorn v Richmond. Hawthorn got up as expected. Then finally went with the upset. Tipped Gold Coast to win, but the Lions got up. So 5 out of 9 tips for the round. So, my tips for round 9. First game should be a pretty good game. We've got Collingwood v Fremantle at Optus, 8:10pm Thursday night. Now, Collingwood have rested quite a few of their big players in this game, so be interesting to see their reaction if they lose, but we'll have to see how it goes. So first of all, Freo, they're 4-4. Last week lost to St Kilda by 61. They played absolutely dreadfully. They're a very up and down team. One week they'll win by they'll beat a good team like Adelaide, and then they'll put up the performance they played against the Saints, which was absolutely dreadful. Then you got Collingwood, record of 6-2. Last week lost to Geelong by 3. Game really could have gone either way. Collingwood probably missed a couple of their chances, but it looks like they're going to win it late in the game. But then Jack Crisp missed after the siren from about 45 out, so Geelong ended up winning, but Collingwood still definitely go into this match as the favourites, especially after the way Freo played last week. So it could be a pretty close game. Last time these teams played at Optus, and maybe even last time they played, it was a draw. So I'm probably going to go the tip you would think, and tip Collingwood by 37 with my Ollie's call that Jamie Elliott kicks 3+ goals. Next game, Friday night, the Spud Frawley match at the MCG, Saints playing at home. We've got Carlton v St Kilda. This could actually be a really good game. MCG, 7:40pm Friday. St Kilda 4-4. Last week beat Freo by 61. We didn't play great. We probably should have won by more, but Freo were just not on their game, and anyone in the comp could have beat them with the way they played. Then Carlton 3-5. Last week lost to Adelaide by 60. They won 3 in a row. They looked back, and then they put up that performance against Adelaide. So it's going to be this is the type of game the Saints could win, but this is also the type of game that we could get beat by 50 points. So really hard to tell who's going to win this game, but I'm going to tip St Kilda by 11 with my Ollie's call Carlton lead at half-time. Next game on the Saturday, we've got Hawthorn v Melbourne at the MCG. Melbourne 3-5. Last week beat West Coast by 32. They have won 3 games in a row, have Melbourne. They haven't been great opponents. Well, they did beat Freo, which was a pretty good win. It was at home. Freo don't travel that well. But then they've beat Richmond and West Coast, so 2 expected wins. And then you got Hawthorn 6-2. Last week beat Richmond pretty comfortably by 65 points. So I think at the MCG, both teams play there a fair bit. 120 on a Saturday, so conditions you'd think, if the weather's alright, won't really have much of a factor on the game. So I'm going to tip Hawthorn by 41 with my Ollie's call Melbourne score less than 60 points. Saturday Arvo, Saturday twilight game, Essendon Sydney, Marvel 4:15 p.m. Essendon record of 4-3 last week, beat North by 3 points. It was an okay performance from the Bombers. They played North Melbourne, so not too much to celebrate, but this game's really a test of where they're at this season and if they're ready to play finals or win a final even. Then you got Sydney, record of 3-5 last week, beat GWS by 14. They got off to a really good start, Sydney, and then never looked back from there. Sydney, their best is very good, but they haven't really shown that much this season. But Essendon, this is the type of game that I feel like they'll lose. Like, if they'll be wanting to win these types of games if they're going to make finals this season. So I'm going to tip Sydney by 19 with my eyes called that Essendon kick 15 plus behinds. Next game on the Saturday night, we have got Gold Coast v Western Bulldogs, TAO Stadium, 7:35 p.m. Gold Coast record of 5-2. Last week lost to Brisbane by 17. Wasn't a great performance. They really should have lost by more. And yeah, it was a pretty low scoring game. But Brisbane are probably still premiership favourites to go back to back, so not the worst result. It's not like they got smashed. Then the Bulldogs, they look like they're in really good form. Beat Port Adelaide by 90, so massive win and really annihilated Port Adelaide. So this game could go either way, but I think the Suns usually play pretty well in Darwin and don't really lose up there. So I reckon I'm going to tip the Suns in this one, tip them by 8 in a close one with my Oz call. Jed Walter kicks 3+ goals. Next game, we've got the Showdown, Saturday night, 8:10 p.m. Saturday. Well, yeah, Saturday night. Now, Showdown is always a good game. Like, no matter where the teams are, no matter who's playing well, who's not, it's always, you know you're in for something. And I feel like it will be a similar case this week or this time out. So, Port, record of 4-4. Last week lost to Western Bulldogs by 90. Yeah, they have not looked good. As in, they played well against Hawthorn, but then against Saints, against North, they didn't look great. And then against the Bulldogs last week, that was the final straw. So, it's hard to see them making finals the way they've played in some of their games this year. Then you got Adelaide, record of 5-3. Last week, they beat Carlton by 60. They played really well. They usually do play pretty well at home. They've only dropped the one game there this season. I think that was to Geelong. So, this game could go either way, being a showdown, but going to have to go the favourites. Going to have to tip Adelaide by 22 with my Oz call that both teams combined for 200+ points. Then the next game, first game on the Sunday Arvo, we have got Richmond v West Coast at the MCG, 1:10 p.m. Richmond, record of 2-6. Last week lost to Hawthorn by 65. It was a pretty bad performance from Richmond, but expected that Hawks were going to get up, especially in their anniversary game, 100 years. Then you got West Coast, 0-8. Lost to Melbourne by 32. They played a good first half, but then just dropped off in the second half. Lost by decent margin in the end, and it's going to be hard saying when they're going to get a win. This could be a chance, but it's still at the MCG. Richmond haven't looked too bad. Like, they play a good game and then they'll have a couple bad games, and I think it's too hard to tip against Richmond this one, so I'm tipping them by 34 with my Oz called Tim Taranto has 25+ disposals. Second last game of the round, GMHBA Stadium, 3:20 p.m. Sunday. We've got Geelong GWS. Geelong record of 5-3. Last week they beat Collingwood by 3. Very good performance and really helped get their season back on track. Not as such, but really consolidated their spot in the top 8. And then GWS 4-4. They were 4-2, I think, at some point. Yeah, losses to the Bulldogs and Sydney. And now they've fallen. They're in a bit of a weird spot. You feel like they really should be top 8, even top 4 team. But they are 4-4. If they lose this one, they could be in a bit of strife. But they actually do have a pretty good record at GMHBA. It feels like when they play there, when they've played there the last couple of times, they've come out with the win. So I'm going to tip, you would have to say an upset here. Tip GWS by 3. Geelong don't lose much at GMHBA. With my others called, both teams score less than 80 points. And finally, last game of the round at Ninja Stadium, 4:40pm Sunday. Got North Melbourne v Brisbane. One team 1-7, one team 7-1. North 1-7 lost to Essendon by 3 last week. Not a great. Well, it was a pretty good performance, and lost right at the end there. Finbar Maley had a chance to put them in front. Got called to play on miss, so that was a pretty crucial part in them losing. Then Brisbane 7-1 beat Gold Coast by 17. They haven't really played any outstanding games this season, but they're just doing enough. They're 7-1, top of the ladder. You would back them in to win this one, so they're going pretty well. And I'm going to have to tip Brisbane here. I'm going to tip them by 62 with my Ollie's call. I reckon that Brisbane kick 10 plus first half goals. So, just recapping my tips for the round. First game got Collingwood. Going to win pretty comfortably, I reckon, by, 37 points. You would think. Well, I think. Then got the Saints in probably an upset. Then Hawks should get up over Melbourne. Sydney should get up. And then pretty 50-50 game. I'm going to tip the Suns. Adelaide, you'd think, get up over Port. Richmond over West Coast, upset with the Giants over Geelong, and then got Brisbane over North to finish the round. So that's my round 9 tips. Thanks for watching those on the ball. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Yep, so tips video is probably a bit boring at the minute, but stay tuned for maybe some vlogs of some AFL games and some other content. So thanks for watching, and see you next time.